Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here today. You're going to love my guest. If you're here for the first time, I just want to tell you are in the right place. If you're somebody who's struggled with food and weight like I did, if you are yo-yoing with your weight, if you are an emotional eater and you cannot control yourself, if you're eating, one potato chip and you end up eating the whole bag, or if you're, nibbling on sweets and you just can't stop. I get that. That was me completely. I was, 50 pounds overweight on account of being an emotional eater and being out of control with food. So if that's anywhere in the vicinity of your story, please stick around, because there's a lot of great information on the Heal Your Hunger Show, not only from me and my own personal journey, which I love sharing with you, but also the amazing guests that I invite onto this show who are really dealing with, they have incredible systems and programs that can really support somebody who is an emotional eater, who is struggling with food and weight. And so I bring them here so you can learn from them and see if that's something that you need and want to pursue. So if you are, loving the show, if you've been here before, please make sure to leave a review on iTunes. That definitely helps get the word out. So please join me in helping others and leave a review on iTunes. And I so appreciate it. Thank you in advance. So my guest today is an amazing doctor. Dr. Tami is a physician with a passion to help women take charge of their own hormone health and happiness. And her unique voice is sorely needed today, because more than ever, women are facing hormone imbalances and deficiencies before, during, and after menopause, okay? And if you're a woman, you're somewhere on that spectrum. Dr. Tami is the author of the best-selling book, The Hormone Secret. And she's also on the cutting edge of stem cell regenerative medicine. And she currently treats patients here in the US. So we're definitely going to get into that. That is so cutting edge and so exciting. And she's doing it, and she has amazing results. So Dr. Tami, so glad to have you here.
Oh, it's a delight to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was so great to see you recently at the Bulletproof conference. You were just cranking it out. Everybody was swarmed around your booth. They were loving what you were sharing. They knew about you already, and you've been a speaker there for several years. So it was really fun to see your celebrity, juju, spread around the conference. And I'm sure so many people got benefit there and are continuing on with you. So that's super cool. And it's always good to see you. You're just such a love.
It was wonderful to see you. It was kind of like old home week for us,
Yeah.
Our friends are there. And, when you practice like we do in the online space, though I do have a brick and mortar practice where we see patients every day across the nation with phone and Skype appointments. But, we also have digital programs and supplements and whatnot. And you kind of wonder, is behind the curtain, is anybody out there? Am I making a difference? And so at the conferences, you get to people come up and share their stories about how you might have blessed their life. So it's really invigorating.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure that's the affirmation that, we do need once in a while. Yeah, good for you. Well, so share with me about, and with everybody listening, what got you into this work? You have a personal story around, your passion for helping women with hormone imbalances.
So I went to medical school, traditional medical school. And when I was in residency, seeing patients, after many, many years of education, we're now, 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, and 3 years of residency. My patients, mostly women, would come to me and say, I'm not really sick, but I don't feel like myself. I don't have the energy. I don't have the spontaneity. I find that when my kids call my name, I'm annoyed instead of excited. And I'm just a gray shadow of who I used to be. And I would run the usual tests, thyroid and CBC and all of this. And then they'd come back and I would tell them that they were fine. And they say, but doctor, I don't feel fine. And it's when I realized a few important sort of aha moments. One was fine is a 4-letter word.
Yeah. That we're not allowed to say on the radio right here.
Exactly.
No, actually, this is a podcast. We can say whatever we want. So what I know fine to be is fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and sensitive, or neurotic and emotional, right?
Well, and nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, today I want to be fine. Nobody does that.
Right.
We want to be fabulous. And then the second thing I realized is, my traditional medical training, I'm so grateful for. It was so steeped in science and analysis and diseases and illnesses and all of that. I'm grateful for having that as a foundation. But what I realized that if my patients didn't meet a certain criteria that had a lab reference range that was outside of this enormous reference range and have a CPT code or an ICD-10 code that matched what they were describing, they weren't sick.
Right.
And I realized our healthcare system isn't a healthcare system, that it's a sick care system. And I'm glad we have it, but it has nothing to do with health.
Right.
And that the absence of disease does not equal wellness. You're just not sick.
Yeah.
Yet.
Right.
So that spurred me to go back to school and get trained in naturopathic medicine and become a functional medicine doctor, where now we stay ahead. We have a membership model where our patients pay $99 a month and they have seasonal 1-hour appointments with us where we dig deep and create customized programs that are mostly naturopathic, using lifestyle, nutrition, food, hormones, things like that. So trying to keep people in front of fine.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, that's beautiful. I'm glad. That sounds really effective. The model you've created, so it's actually affordable and accessible.
And a lot of people, there's so much information on the internet and on books, and a lot of people get quite confused, and they say, oh, should I eat high fat? Should I eat vegetarian? Should I eat bone broth? Should I fast? Should I,
Right.
All of these things are swirling around in their mind, and they get more and more confused. And so something could be right, but it might not be right for you.
Right.
This way we get to customize.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so let's talk about some of the main issues that people experience regarding their hormone health.
Well, when I was in residency, I had 2 children. So
wow.
I know. And so, I think women are really good at giving justification for why they look, feel, and function less than their best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking care. Of course, I'm tired. I'm working. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm got up early. I didn't sleep well. We have a lot of justification. And so we never put ourselves first to fix it.
Right.
We just justify that there's a good reason why it's there. So be it. So I did the same. I was exhausted. Well, of course I'm exhausted. I have a toddler. I'm pregnant. I'm in residency. I work 80 hours a week. I'm up every 3rd night. Of course I'm tired. But I literally was between patients in the clinic laying on the floor. I was so tired. I would skip eating because I was so tired. And then, of course, I'd be starving and I'd eat all the, sugar stuff to get the boost of energy, the blueberry muffins and the frappalapas and all of those.
Right.
So I thought, well, I need to analyze my own hormones. And so I looked at the usual things that we do in traditional medicine, estrogen, progesterone, and thyroid. And I found that my progesterone was quite deficient after my 2nd pregnancy. And it should have come back up to normal, but I was older. And so I replaced my progesterone, and that really helped my sleep. But I was still really tired, and I was the same weight, but a lot more fat. So I was like a skinny fat person, and just not the energy, just still no energy. And now I was sleeping. So my justification was, why am I still not energy? And so I looked at testosterone, and that's when the light bulb went on. Like, oh my gosh, I have no testosterone. I'm in my 40s. I have no testosterone.
Okay.
And that was then. I'm in my 50s now.
Right.
And so I realized that this is the secret hormone that women are not being guided to address with their regular doctor because it's considered to be the male hormone.
Right.
And even though we don't need a lot of it, it has an outsized role in how we look, feel, and function. Our skin, our hair, our energy, our
Really? Who
our
would have
muscle
thunk
fat.
it, right?
Exactly. Our bones, one of the best treatments for osteoporosis and osteopenia is testosterone.
Wow.
I'm way safer.
Interesting. So, and is it true that most or a good number of women are low in testosterone in their 40s?
You know, we are finding that a much larger percentage of women and men actually have low testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen, but especially testosterone earlier and to a more significant level. And it's because after the childbearing ages, you know, when you get into your 40s, Mother Nature really makes it hard for you to become pregnant because it was really just, we were designed to do it much younger. And so the production of those hormones goes to your adrenal glands. And because of our 24/7 lifestyle, because of this nonstop stresses, our adrenals are these teeny tiny little glands that sit on top of our kidneys, the size of walnuts. And they have enough time, energy, and raw ingredients to make the hormones that bless you, like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, or the ones to deal with stress, like cortisol and adrenaline. And so they never get around to the blessing part because they're always dealing with the stress.
Wow.
So we just get more and more tired, less muscle, less energy, our bones decline, our skin sags, our hair on our head starts to get thin, and all of it has to do with hormones, but mostly testosterone.
Interesting.
And so that's the hormone secret.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good to know. It's a punchline.
Yeah.
But is it just about supplementing with testosterone, or is it all? It's really that whole suite of hormones, right? That you have to balance.
I call it a symphony, and you know, if you go to the symphony and the violins sound terrible, the whole symphony sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, the wind section was doing a great job, it's done. So when you have hormones, women especially say, well, you know, I'm not having hot flashes. I still have my period. My hormones must be fine. But it's not just having a deficiency that is the problem. When you have an imbalance of your hormones, that can cause even bigger problems because they need to be balanced. And so the Hormone Secret is a book. It's just coming out in its paperback version now. It was published by Simon & Schuster.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It's a do-it-yourself program for food, supplements, lifestyle that will boost and balance all your hormones, but a special section that's even bigger on testosterone and a quiz to see what hormone or hormones you could be deficient in. In fact, we have a quiz on drtami.com, and I have people who email me and say, gosh, my doctor had to do blood tests and urine tests and saliva tests, and your quiz got the same results.
Wow, that's fascinating. So that's good. Everybody should take that quiz pronto. That's super cool.
Well, and the wonderful thing is that with people like you and books and things like that people can be the CEO of their own health.
Yes.
You know, CEOs don't make every decision, and they often have consultants that give them great feedback and look at their situation. So, but it's in the CEO's hands and power.
Right.
That's what I want women to feel like. We've given away our healthcare power for so long.
Yes, absolutely. So, in terms of the adrenals, you mentioned the adrenals. How do you recommend people support, besides getting the right hormone balance overall? How does one support their adrenals? Because that's been a struggle of mine for like 15 years at least. Is like adrenal fatigue essentially. Like I'm usually operating on sub levels of adrenals.
Fumes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a couple of things. One is nutrition. You really, this fasting fad that is going on right now has some
Tell me about it.
amazing benefits, but if you have adrenal fatigue, it's suicide.
Thank you. Thank you. I have other reasons for not, promoting fasting. Emotional eaters will go the other direction, or they use it to offset their binges or whatever. So, I mean, it's, yeah, thank you. So yeah, it's true. And for adrenal fatigue, I mean, I've got to have my 3 meals. I mean, just to have my body functioning properly and to know, to have my body feel safe and feel like taken care of, like it's going to get its next meal, all that. It's, that's really.
And even an
nice.
afternoon snack is really good for the adrenals around that 2 to 3 p.m. mark, where your energy naturally goes down a little bit. And that's where people have the biggest drive to turn to sugar.
Yeah.
And things that turn to sugar and caffeine. And so if you have some protein, some good fat, and some low glycemic, vegetables or fruit like apples and almond butter or hummus and veggies, then you can actually power through that dip and it won't be a dive.
Yeah.
Or a crash.
I'm a proponent of something which I created, which is called 3 meal magic, which is no snacks for the emotional eaters. So if you do have that dip, but you're trying to do 3 meal magic, what do you suggest?
So, that's the whole thing about having guidance, is that you can have somebody who has adrenal fatigue, but then they have this emotional eating thing, and that has to trump.
Yeah.
Because you can't be derailed in your whole nutrition path just because there's so many other ways to help your adrenals. So
right.
you kind of have to go through the pathway of what is going to bless your life the most.
Yep, exactly.
I do have some patients who take their dinner meal, and they have part of it when they get home,
right?
And the rest of it when they eat with their family.
Okay.
So they'll have, a really big salad when they get home, and then they'll have the vegetable and the protein with the rest of the family later on. And the reason they are doing that is because they're starving when they get home. And they can't wait. That's when they're binging.
Yeah, and a salad's going to be a whole lot better than nuts and dried fruit or worse,
Pretzels,
right?
cheese and crackers.
Chips, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then there's some specific supplements that, I have a huge section on the supplements that are research-based for the adrenals. But if I had to pick one, I would say maybe 2. Adrenal glandulars.
I take that.
Yeah, great. We have one called Adrenal Booster that's got it all in. And then vitamin C. Adrenals are super, super greedy for vitamin C, and you can take 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day.
Now, is it important to have vitamin C at the time when you're having a dip, or is it you're just saying overall supplementing with vitamin C?
Just to help the adrenals on a daily basis to
Gotcha.
heal. Outside of supplements, and we talked about nutrition, the third thing is sleep.
Amen.
Our adrenal glands are waking us up. Everybody forgets that it's a miracle we wake up.
Yeah.
Right?
So true. That's so true.
We just take it for granted.
We had nothing to do with it.
Nope. Nobody can sleep forever unless they're not alive.
Right.
So, and then we don't call it sleeping. So your adrenals are producing cortisol and some other changes in your hormones that kind of bring you up to the surface. If you think of diving, you're way down at the bottom of the ocean or the swimming pool, and then you come up through the tables in diving and you pop to the surface of consciousness. That rising up starts at about 4 a.m. And so if you didn't get your butt to bed early enough, you don't have the time, literally, to visit the 5 stages of sleep in order to wake up rejuvenated before your body is going to start bringing you back towards the surface around 4 a.m. And you'll just pop up and you haven't gotten down to 4 and 5 for long enough.
Right.
It is what it is. It's just math.
Yeah.
If you don't get your butt to bed by 10:30 at night, you cannot get yourself up before 4 a.m. starts to get you towards the surface.
It's so true. I was up at 4:15 this morning.
Oh, how awful.
So I do, I've done an adrenal stress test recently and I'm abnormally high in the morning. So I'm just like, I've got to get to bed earlier. Otherwise I'm doomed.
Yeah, because you'll get popped up to the surface.
Yep, totally. Yep.
Exactly. And then I think the last thing is one of the most powerful, and that's meditation.
Amen. Singing my song, babe.
I know. And you're doing such a great work, because people come to an MD like myself, even though I practice naturopathic medicine, they don't look to me for meditation help. But I wish convince my patients that, this is very, very powerful. I wish I could charge $5,000 for it. Maybe they'd take it seriously.
I know, right?
And I think that I heard something very powerful yesterday, or actually on Monday, from a friend of mine. And she said that we decide with our wallet, which we've all heard before, and our calendar, which I hadn't heard, what's important.
Mm.
So if meditation isn't got a scheduled time as an appointment,
right,
it may or may not happen. And it's not a priority. Stop fooling yourself.
Yeah. No, and if people did recognize the health, if with all the money people spend on their health or weight loss or whatever it is, if they realized how simple and effective meditation is for so many of the ailments they're trying to treat and spending gazillions of dollars to treat, they would be right there, on the nose, 6 a.m. every morning doing it.
Yep, exactly. So that's the 411 on a teeny tiny adrenal.
That's great. I love those tips. Those are amazing. And that all has such a direct effect for emotional eaters. I mean, people are looking for a quick fix because they're looking for that fix of energy. They're looking for that fix of the stress, and some of these things you've just talked about are going to directly affect that, and which will minimize their need to overeat. So that's awesome. So let's dig into the stem cell chapter in your life. This is juicy stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, this is really cool. So how'd you get into this?
I actually didn't get into it as a doctor. I got into this as a daughter.
Oh.
My father has COPD, emphysema. It's a lung condition that has no treatment, and he was put on oxygen. And
wow.
So I looked at every kind of stem cells that were in every country that I could possibly do with my doctor brain, but the motivation of a daughter, and ended up finding this clinical trial in the United States and became part of the clinical trial and trained. And my father was my first patient a few years ago. And it uses your own fat that as a source of stem cells, which is a huge source of active stem cells compared to bone marrow or blood or other things like that.
Fat. How interesting.
And nobody minds donating a bit of fat.
Right? Yeah, have it all, please.
And shortly after the stem cell treatment, my father didn't have to wear oxygen around the house anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, his oxygen saturation went up. And so we treat neurologic conditions, orthopedic conditions, lung conditions, autoimmune conditions. It is amazing. It completely transforms some people's lives. And so it's not for everyone. It's really for people that have the financial means to invest $10,000 to $20,000 in changing their lives. But we have patients that have, they come to their first appointment in a wheelchair and their second appointment in a walker.
Seriously, it's that fast?
Yeah, well, 2 to 4 months. Yeah.
Wow. So, and where are you putting these stem cells? Like, how does it work?
So the stem cells are what called progenitor cells. So they actually make new cells. So we can grow lung tissue and cartilage and, brain and neural tissue. We can do all of that in a petri dish. And so when they're extracted and concentrated, they're put back into the body where they're needed. So maybe it goes into the spine, maybe it goes into the knee, but also 100% of people receive an intravenous IV, so it goes through the whole body.
Really? And that what's going through the whole body is regenerative as well?
Yeah, it's your progenitor stem cells, and it's technically called stromal vascular fraction, which has the growth factors, but it's super, super, super concentrated.
Oh my God, that's so fascinating.
And it's your cells. So there's no rejection. It's same day. There's no downtime. And the success stories are amazing. And we've done 7,000 cases. We're in their 6th year. There's never been an adverse event. So, you know, people are back hiking and running and playing tennis and having energy so that they can connect with their families and friends. And, you know, some of our patients were looking at losing their independence because they had ALS. And so there's a lot of hope in regenerative stem cell medicine. The future is here.
That is remarkable. And I mean, oh my gosh. So you're talking about a lot of degenerative diseases helped by this. And is it specific to certain diseases, or would all diseases be, you know, mitigated by stem cell injections?
We have many, many conditions that we are following. You cannot be part of the clinical trial if you have active cancer or active infections.
Okay.
And then other than that, we may or may not have large statistics. There's some very unique diseases out there.
Right.
So we always have to make sure that we're giving people realistic, but with no downtime and the possibility of transforming your lives. We hear people say, you know, the cost of not doing this would have been that, you know, I don't get to spend time with my family because I have kids and my wife takes them out, and, you know, all these things where when they do get the treatment, they're out enjoying vacations and going for dinner and going for hikes. And so
that's incredible. Now, my husband got stem cell help for, you know, because he had been morbidly obese and he lost, you know, 120 pounds. This is 40 years ago. But because of that, you know, the fat that he lost, part of it was in his feet. So he's had, right? So he's had he's got zero fat on his feet. Like, you know, he's been walking on bone forever and then bone on bone, you know, with his toes. So he ended up needing to, and was able to get stem cell injections in his feet, which then created the padding that he needs, right? To decrease the pain and like fix the problem. So I found that so fascinating, but that's really the same, really technology you're talking about.
Yep. Absolutely. We also do it in another part of my business. We have a regenerative holistic spa where we do stem cell facelifts for people who are not wanting to do anything cosmetic because they're not, you know, a fan of Botox or things like that, but would love to look, you know, their very best and don't feel like the person they see in the mirror.
Right.
And these last 5 years. So we have people fly from all over the United States to do the stem cell facelift because there's no downtime. They can fly home the next day.
Oh my God. And what happens? Like, so you just inject their face with these stem cells?
Stem cells, yeah.
And are they their stem cells? So and you're pulling them from where? Like literally their belly fat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody has a tiny little bit of fat. I've never found somebody with
Tell me about it. I've got a belly on me no matter how thin I am. So I got plenty of fat for you, girl.
There you go.
So that's crazy. So they literally get injected with their own stem cells. I mean, this is a new conversation because, you know, 10 or 15 years ago, stem cell, or maybe even less than that, stem cells was a bit of, I mean, it was a controversial thing because they were just taking it from, you know, yes. And so we've graduated from there. So that's not the only place that we can get it, right?
No, and it's so much safer. And for the stem cell facelift, it's an 1.5-hour procedure.
Oh my God. And so you inject it where you would normally inject Botox?
Or we do a full face rejuvenation. So we look at what you looked like 5 or 10 years ago, and, you know, people lose volume underneath here and here and
eyes, and
then there.
Yeah.
So we're going like this.
Yeah.
And then we put it on top and we microneedle it. So your skin literally has stem cells telling it to grow new skin. That's brand
And
new.
so that you get a natural plumping from that?
Mm-hmm. And a glow. It's just, I did my 80-year-old mom, and people think she's in her 60s.
Get out. Oh my God. That's so cool. Do you have before and after pictures on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. And that website is vitalitymedispa.net.
Vitality Medispa. Okay, we're going to put that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, we do have a nurse that does some of the more traditional cosmetic stuff, but I only do the holistic stuff like the stem cell facelift and
So how much does it cost to get a facelift? Not that I'm interested. Trust me. I'm purely trying to help my audience.
Friend and yeah. Well, it's actually, for something that lasts about 5 years, it's quite affordable. It's $5,000.
Okay. Well, that's compared to some of the other things people are opting to do. That's pretty much a bargain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially compared to the downtime as well.
That's crazy.
And, I think that everybody who's trying to take care of themselves also wants to look their best. But what we want is we want everyone to notice, but no one to be able to tell.
Yeah.
And so when you're using something holistic and natural, like your own stem cells, you get to have that natural look.
So this all part of that, the trials that you're talking about still?
That's a different one. This one actually is FDA approved.
Okay. Wow.
The facelift is FDA approved. So it's not part of a clinical trial. The clinical trial is diseases that we're helping people with. Okay.
And now you had mentioned the fact that, and I mentioned it when I was talking about you, that you do this in the US, which really suggests that a lot of people are doing it outside of the US, correct?
Yeah. There's a lot of people who go to Mexico, Guatemala, Panama, all over, but they only do that because they don't realize it's available here.
It's probably cheaper there too, right?
Actually, no. Funny enough, it's more expensive. There are some clinics that charge the same, but by the time you go to Panama, it's way more expensive, but most of them are more expensive.
How interesting.
Yeah, we're not a business. We are, but it's a clinical trial. We're doing this to find out the outcomes, and the cost is.
Oh, gotcha. So it's a funded, it's a funded trial.
Funded clinical trial, but we're not having this huge profit margin, which is why I still have my other businesses.
Right. Okay. How interesting.
Yeah. But, it's still expensive because there's no pharmaceutical company paying for it.
Right. Yep. Amen. Yeah. So, wow, that is just fascinating. And just to mention a few of the diseases, you mentioned ALS. What are some of the other diseases that you see, you're seeing benefit with stem cells?
ALS, Parkinson's, MS, osteoarthritis, heart attack, traumatic brain injury, stroke, and
Alzheimer's,
autoimmune.
Really? That is incredible.
I have a patient who had an ankle osteoarthritis so bad in her ankle. She stopped doing everything she loved, and she booked a trip to Tibet this year to go on a hike on a Tibetan, trek.
Amazing. And how many people are doing this in the U.S.?
So there's a lot of people doing stem cell medicine. It's kind of like the wild, wild west, but there are not very many of us doing it sort of above the boards, transparently, academically, with a clinical trial. And
right.
I would highly recommend that you work with someone who has experience if you're going to do it.
I totally agree. It is, it can be dangerous. I mean, it's counter effects from lots of different things as well. Yeah. Wow. Well, this is such a cool conversation. Thank you so much for coming here, Dr.
Tami. My pleasure.
It's really, this is great stuff. I get to learn and share with others, and we're all more educated now after listening to you. So thank you so much for this, and God bless you and all the beautiful work that you're doing. And, thank God we live in a time and in a place where we can make these kinds of leaps in medicine and really be looking at solutions instead of just more dismal, statistics of things getting worse. So
yeah, absolutely. And if anybody wants any more information about the stem cells, they can call 877-8-VITALITY.
Okay.
And we can set them up with a free consultation about any of the things we talked about, hormones or stem cell facelift or stem cells for you or somebody you might know that has a debilitating condition, 8778 vitality.
Okay.
We can funnel you off where you need to know.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your good work. Great to have you.
Beautiful day.
You too. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.